Welcome to our online tutorial on how to draft the basic bodice block. The tools I'll be using for this draft is my measuring tape. I'll be using the inches side of the tape, my curve ruler, my straight ruler, my markers, my calculator, and the measurements that we'll be using for this draft is shoulder 14 inches, the bust circumference 36 inches, under bust circumference 28 inches, the waist circumference 28.5 inches, my hip, which is the upper hip, 38 inches, the bust point 10.5 inches, under bust point 14.5 inches, half length that we will use for the front block 16.5 inches, half length for the back block 15.5 inches. My blouse length is 24 inches. Now you can observe that there is a difference between the half length front and the half length back. I will encourage you to watch our video on how to take accurate body measurements. You will understand why this difference exists. Now, coming to my pattern, I have marked out the area I'll be using for the drafting. Now, this is my center back. This is the top line. This is the center back. This is the point O where I will begin drafting my center back. This is the center front, and this is my point O on the top line where I'll be beginning the draft for the front block. So the length of my pattern is the blouse length that I'll be using. Now you observe that difference that I mentioned in the half length. The half length front is 16.5. The half length back is 15.5. I beg your pardon. Then this the difference between the two is 1 inch. That is why we are having this difference in the length of the pattern. Now the width of the pattern is the hip circumference divided by 2. Then plus 1 inch is for the block. Okay, let's continue. Our shoulder circumference is 14.5. Beg your pardon, 14 inches. This is the top, the point O on the top line for the center front. So shoulder circumference is divided by 2. 14 divided by 2 gives us 7 inches. I mark my 7 inches here. I do likewise for the back. Beginning from point O along the top line, I input my shoulder size, which is 14 divided by 2, which gives me 7. Now, the human body is not straight, but slanting. So on the front block, I'm going to go down from the shoulder line by 1.5 inch. 1.5 inch, I make my mark there. Now, the front shape of the female body is slightly more slopey than the back. And so because of this reason, I will be going down 1 inch on the back block for my shoulder slant. Then I want to input my neck size so I can connect the two. The formula that we use to impute a unique neck size per size is bust divided by 8 plus 1 inch. Bust divided by 8 plus 1 inch. The bust we are working with is 36 inches. 36 divided by 8 gives us 4.5 plus 1 inch gives us 5.5. We will be using the half of this. half of it. So 5.5 divided by 2 gives us 2.75. So we come to point O and input the size 2.75. This is unique to this particular size. Each measurement is has its own different neck size. So we also come to point O and input that same neck size, 2.75 inches. So we connect the neck size to the shoulder point. We do likewise for the back. We connect the both on a slant. Okay, that is it. Okay, the next thing is to square the neck size. Come down along the center line, the center front line by the same neck size, 2.75. Come here and input the 2.75. That is what it means to square the line. Okay. I connect it this way. Let me make the lines bolder so that you can see clearly. Okay. So I come in with my curve ruler and I connect the neck point on a curve this way from the point here to the point here, so that my curve makes an angle of 90 degrees, and that is my neck side. So we will call this point the neck point, NP for the neck point, and we will call this spot the SP, which is the shoulder point. We come and do likewise for the back. Now we go down along the center back line by 1 inch. That is the depth that we will use to form our back neck. Then we bring our curve ruler and connect the neck point to the center back line on a curve. Please note that your neck point and the neck depth must always be at an angle of 90 degrees, so that when you are constructing your fabric, it will sit perfectly. But if it's not on this angle, you will have gapping on the neck size. Now the next thing we are going to do is to input our armhole. To input our armhole, there is a formula that we work with, which is the bust circumference divided by 6 inches plus 1.5 inches. Bust circumference divided by 6 inches plus 1.5 inches. So the bust that we are working with is bust 36 divided by 6 gives us 6 plus 1.5 inches gives us 7.5. So from the back we go down by 7.5, and I come here to confirm my shoulder measurement, which is 7, before I connect. So I rule a line to connect with my shoulder point. This is my SP and this is my NP, my neck point. Okay. For the back, for the front, I'm not going to come down here by same 7.5. Why will I not do that? Remember that the shoulder slant for the front is 1.5 inches, while that for the back is 1 inch. So if I go down by 7.5, which is our armhole circumference, it is going to be longer. So what I do is I come to the top line, I measure everything that I have there, which now gives me the 7.5 plus the 1 inch. It gives me 8.5. So I come to the front block and I input the 8.5, which is at that point. I come to the center line and confirm my shoulder so that I will have the 8.5 on the straight line, and that is what it gives me. So I connect the point. Trying to make the points bolder so that you can see clearly. And I connect the two underarm points with a straight line. So this is my UP, my underarm point, and this equally is my underarm point for the back. Next, we are going to input the armhole curve. We come to the underarm point and go up the armhole line by 3 inches. That is for the front block. And at that point, where we have the 3 inches point, we go into the pattern by 0.75. 0.75. So we connect the SP to that point on a straight line. And we connect the rest of the armhole on a curve. So I'm trying to find the point on my curve where it sits very well for me to connect. Okay, that is okay. That is what I have. Then I now come to the back block. I measure half the length of the armhole line. This is 7.5. I'm trying to find the midpoint. This is the midpoint. So I go into the pattern here by 0.5 inch, half of an inch. And I do likewise. I connect that point to the SP point on a curve, on a straight line, I beg your pardon, and I connect the rest on a curve using my curve ruler. See how beautiful it is? Okay, going further, I am going to input my bust point. The bust point that we are working with is 10.5 inches. 10.5 inches. That is where my 10.5 inches. And I come here and input it so that I'll have a straight line. The back does not have a bust, but the construction line is to help us put everything straight. That is why I'm taking it all the way to the back. Let me try to make it bolder so that you can see clearly. Okay. So this is our bust line. bust line. Next, I am going to input the waistline, which is the half length. Now, the half length that we have for this measurement for the front block is 16.5. So I am inputting 16.5 on the front block, and for the back block 15.5. So 15.5 is here for the back. 15.5. Please don't get confused on why we are having that difference. Watch our video on how to take accurate body measurement, and you will understand why that difference exists between the front half length and the back half length. So this is our waistline, and this is our waistline. Okay, now we have set our construction lines in place. The next thing that we are going to input is the bust span. The bust span that we will be working with for this draft is 6 inches. 6.5 inches. So 6.5 inches divided by 2 will give us 3.25. So I come to the bust point, I mark my 3.25. I come to the waist point, the half length for the front, I mark my 3.25, and I go up the hip line by 2 inches. I go up by 2 inches, and I input the same 3.25. Why did I go up by 2 inches? I do not want any width to be lost at the hip. So you don't take the construction line for the dart down to the hip point. And next, I'll be inputting my dart size. The dart that I'll be working with for this size is 0.5. So I take 0.5 dart size on either side of the bust span line, and I connect it thus. And I will not take that dart all the way to my bust line. I'm going to stop at 1 inch below the bust line. Why am I stopping 1 inch below the bust line? We don't want any pointed, a sharp point on the bust, because when you take it all the way, it tends to give a sharp nipple, too abnormally sharp. So we don't take it there. We have to give room for the bust, to have its fullness. Okay, the bust, the front block is almost done. Next, we are going to input our bust size. The bust that we are working with is bust 36. Now 36 divided by 4, because this is a quarter pattern we are working with, is 9 inches. 9 inches beginning from the center line. So I mark my 9 inches. Then the waist size that I am working with is 28.5. 28.5. So 28.5 divided by 4 gives me 7.125. I will be approximating that to 7.25. So this is my 7.25. Observe that I am taking it along with the dart. 7.25 I mark here. I now come and include the 1 inch dart that is part of the measurement. So that gives me that point. Next, I'm going to put my round upper hip measurement, which is 38 divided by 4. 38 divided by 4. So 38 divided by 4 gives us 9.5. So we come here and we input the 9.5. I connect all my points, my circumference. You can either use a straight line or you can use a curve ruler to get this point. So I will bring in my curve ruler so that this point does not, to blend in the sharp points there. Beautiful pattern. So we come to the bust line. Remember this difference that we have here. How do we make a blouse out of this difference and have them meet at the side seam? So we introduce a bust dart with this difference. So 1 inch is the bust dart size that I'll be using. Why am I using 1 inch? Because the difference between the front block and the back block is 1 inch. And what caused that 1 inch difference? It is arising from the difference between the front half length and the back half length. We encourage you to watch our videos on how to take an accurate measurement, and you will understand why this is so. So, same thing, I connect the bust dart to 1 inch before the bust point, also so that it will not have a sharp point around the bust. Our front bodice block is ready. We go over to the back and do likewise. First and foremost, we come to the bust line and input our bust size, which is 36 divided by 4 gives us 9. Okay, and then we come to the waistline. Know that the human body is not straight. It is slightly hollow at this point and kind of bulging at this point. So what do? We have to tighten this point by giving, for this block, I go in at the waistline at the center back by 0.5 inch. 0.5 inch. And I connect it to the back line. This point where you have the center point of your armhole is the back line. Let me take it in broken line. This point. So this is the back line. Okay, that's the back line. So I connect my back tightening line this way. And I connect it to a few inches above the hip line. So we have that. So to input my waist size, I come here from the back tightening line. I input my waist size. My waist size is 28.5. 28.5 divided by 4. It gives me 7.125, which I'll be rounding up to a 7.25. So plus 1 inch for the dart. So this is 7.25 plus 1 inch for the dart gives me 8.25. Now there are two methods of inputting the waist dart. You can either still use the bust span size that you used here, which was 3.25, or you use the waist size plus that divided by 2, finding the midpoint just like I did here. I actually love using this because for aesthetic reasonings, it comes out beautiful when you look. So the size here is 4.5. So I come here and I input likewise, and I come here and I input likewise. Remember, your back dart should not go up into your armhole point so that you will not have a distortion on the armhole. So I connect it on a straight line for my back dart. And I input my dart size, which is 0.5. I connect it this way, and I connect it on this other side. Beautiful. We are almost done. So we had input our bust size, but see that the back tightening line has cut through the bust line. So we have lost a part of the bust here. So we are going to redo our bust by starting from the back tightening line. So this is it. 36 divided by 4 gives us 9. So here was 7.25 for our back waist circumference. So I have here 3.5 inch. I jump this dart size and I come and continue my measurement here to my 7.25. That is it. Then I come here from the center back line and I input my hip measurement. Oh, sorry, my hip is 38. So 38 divided by 4 gives us 9.5. So I connect and I connect it this way. Let me confirm where my 9.5 is. Okay, my 9.5 is there. So I connect it this way. So I roll this up. Voila! Our bodice block is ready. Please watch out our other videos as they are coming up by subscribing to our channel and clicking the notification button so that the next time we upload many other lovely videos, you will be there to watch. Thank you for listening. Bye.